Well, what is going on in the world? With us today is David Malpass, and he was the president at the World Bank from 2019 to 2023. And, one of the smartest guys that I know in world economy. David Malpass, what's on your mind today? What kept you up at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Hi, John. The higher bond yields are a concern. You know, we hit 4.7% today on the 10-year, and the mortgage rates are up. So people are feeling this, and that's going to go along with the gasoline prices rising. So we've got lots to worry about, but we can also think about how do we get here and how do we get where are we going forward, which I think is pretty good, basically. As you look out the next 5 years, 10 years, there's a lot of good going on. We just don't see it today.
Well, yes, and, the oil prices went up almost 40% in 10, 15, 20 days. And if the right thing happens in the war, it'll go down 40% in 10, 15, 20 days. It's not a permanent problem, so I'm not looking at it as a permanent problem as far as world peace or as far as inflation rates or anything like that. Let's see what happens, and hopefully the problem solves itself over the next few weeks.
That's right. And the good thing about that is the U.S. is an energy superpower. So from the standpoint of protecting ourselves and we protect the world, that still goes on. And so that's going to come to pass. As we look around, though, we have to keep in mind, and I think the president is doing this, that China is this big overriding problem because of the way it's operating its economy. It's a centrally planned economy that has manufacturing, rapacious manufacturing that is really destabilizing quite a few parts of the world. So that's one of the issues, I think, that has to be resolved as we look forward to the bright future.
Yes, and when I look back and what bothers me at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, what was it? Is it 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when we started shipping all our automobile companies to Mexico or to China, or the pharmaceutical companies to China? You were around. What happened? Why did we do that?
I think people were wishful thinking that China's Communist Party would become almost a democracy. Remember the excitement out of Tiananmen Square, that was 1989, and then by 1993, China said it was going to be reforming and becoming a market economy. People got sucked into that. The World Trade Organization came up, and in the meantime, China kind of chuckled all the way to the bank. So they were building big factories with robotics while the U.S. was exporting the capital to help them do it. So we're now in that box, and the question is, how do you get out? I don't know if you saw, but there was an executive order in the last 3 days or so where the Defense Department is changing the way it's protecting the supply chain for its procurement. It's saying that they need to be domestically procured or with allies, not with people that are going to end up being our enemies or our adversaries like China. And I think that's a good step. It's going to take a huge amount of work. Plus, we need to retrain lots of high school students so they have in their mind that they're going to be the best workers in the world in terms of manufacturing, innovation, using digital technology, AI. They can all do that, but they're not getting that training out of colleges right now.
Well, the Chinese people are so hardworking and are so smart. I expected it better, but, it seems like we're under attack in so many directions, and I shouldn't blame all the Chinese people. I guess it's the Chinese Communist Party through fentanyl, through Mexico, through a lot of schemes, baby-making operations in the United States. I mean, what is going on with that?
John, I've got to push back some. I think people around the world are good, and if you take people from their bad environment, maybe a bad economy, or in China's case, a Communist Party dominated, they become good. They're as good workers as Americans are workers. We've got this most amazing country where people come in, and once they hit the United States, they suddenly become hugely productive. So take people, and I worked a lot with Africa, and they're burdened by systems that don't work. You bring them out of that environment, and they become good workers. And so we can hope that for people in Africa. I think we should be hoping that, so that they are able to stay at home, get good jobs, have families that work together, and small businesses that actually work. And for China, same thing. That they gain freedoms and are able to have freedom within a market-based system. Right now, they don't have that. They're working in order to export and to drive down prices for goods in a way that leaves them poorer, and that's not a good system. I think it could change. I don't see them changing that system right now. They're doubling down on heavy, centrally planned investments in their economy. So what do? We should compete, and we should make sure that we're number one in lots of sectors and in overall economy and education.
Well, David Malpass, former president of the World Bank, thank you so much for coming on this Sunday morning. And let's pray we continue to go in the right direction, and let's pray for peace and for energy prices to come down and interest rates to come down to help the American economy even more.
Thank you, John. Good thoughts.